What's going on, everyone? Welcome into an at-home edition of Falcons Today. I'm off today, but a very juicy report came out from ESPN's Jeremy Fowler and Dan Graziano about what they're hearing at Super Bowl week, and it pertains to the Atlanta Falcons. So here's what I want to do on today's video. I want to run through their notebook a little bit because there's a very juicy story out there about the Patriots at number 3, maybe trading back, and the Falcons at number 8, maybe trading up. So we're going to run through what Dan Graziano had to say, and then I'll give you my opinion and my take on the whole thing. But let's start off by looking at the horse's mouth and seeing what Graziano from ESPN had to say, because they published a long article about some of the stories and the rumors they're hearing from Super Bowl week, and one of them was, could the Patriots trade their first round pick? I'll just start right here by saying I believe Caleb Williams is going number 1 to Chicago, and I think Drake Maye is going number 2 to Washington. That's not a very hot take right there. But I always assumed Jayden Daniels would go number 3 to the Patriots. But I could see a world where New England comes out of their draft evaluation process and they decide Jayden Daniels isn't really worth the number 3 overall pick. So if another team wants to give us a king's ransom for him, then we'll play ball and maybe find our quarterback in free agency, which is what some of the folks at Bristol are hearing. But let's see exactly and hear what Graziano had to say. Let me read it to you guys. The Patriots also need a quarterback, but there are people around the league who believe they are open to trading the number 3 selection, moving back in the draft, and addressing the quarterback position in free agency. If the Pats do trade that pick, which could be Daniels or Maye, the two teams I'd keep an eye on are the Falcons, moving from the number 8 spot, and the Vikings, moving from the number 11 spot, assuming they don't bring back Cousins. Minnesota knows it eventually has to address the quarterback position long term, and the notion of bringing in Daniels to pair with their star LSU alum wideout Justin Jefferson has appealed to some in the organization. End quote. So let's talk about it through the Falcons lens, because with the number 8 overall pick, they could make a better offer than the Vikings could at number 11, right? We're talking about the Patriots going from 3 to 8 versus 3 to 11, which initially I'll start off by saying I still think the Patriots are going to stay at number 3 and take Jayden Daniels. This is smokescreen season, right? This is the time of year where teams kind of leak things intentionally to the media to kind of get a reaction from the other teams and from the public, kind of see what everyone's thoughts are, right? If Patriots fans read this and freak out and don't love the idea of trading back, then the Patriots have a good idea of what they are supposed to do, at least to maybe keep butts in seats a little bit, because they've got a whole new regime coming in. So the last thing they want to do is start off year 1 under Gerard Mayo by a colossal flop because they passed on a quarterback in the draft. So I still think the Patriots are going to stay at number 3, but I do think there is a chance that they look at the Jayden Daniels film because they believe Caleb Williams and Drake Maye are going 1 and 2, and they decide, okay, we don't really like Jayden Daniels at number 3, which if that's the case, sure, they could get a great haul for number 3, but they could also just stay there and take Marvin Harrison. And I wouldn't rule that out as well, right? They may not think, hey, a first-round pick swap and a future first is better than Marvin Harrison. And I don't think they're even wrong for thinking that either. But let's at least discuss what it would cost to go from number 8 to number 3. We're talking swapping first-round picks this year, 2025 first-round pick, and probably like a third-round pick, whether it's this year or next year. So a future first and a third is my guess to go from 8 to 3. And I think that's relatively fair, right? It's tough to evaluate because we can look at previous trades as good blueprints, but the difference is previous years with previous trades didn't have Jayden Daniels in the draft going number 3. And I was thinking about this, like Drake Maye most of the years would have been the first overall pick, but because Caleb Williams is in this class, he's probably going to be number 2. And I think there are years where Jayden Daniels could have been the first overall pick if he wasn't in the same draft class as Caleb Williams and Drake Maye. And I think the Patriots know that some teams may view him that way, and they're going to want more than what previous trades called for to jump up to number 3. The most recent trade to number 3 I can think of was the 49ers. They went from 12 to 3 with the Dolphins, and that was 3 future first-round picks, or 3 first-round picks. you're not jumping from 12 to 3, you're going from 8 to 3. So it's not going to cost you nearly as much as that, which is why I think it is from 8 to 3, a future first and a third. But ultimately, if the Falcons could pull this off, I'd be pretty upbeat about it. I would. I do like Justin Fields. That's not a secret on this channel. But Jayden Daniels, if it costs you just a future first and a third, and he's the guy, like, you're going to come to next year's draft just watching Jayden Daniels rookie highlights, because you're not going to be upset that you don't have the 20th overall pick or something, or maybe even lower than that in a better way. But you'll be happy that you have your franchise quarterback, and if it costs you a future first, so be it. But we'll have to wait and see if Raheem Morris and company decide, yeah, this is an avenue we want to go down. You know what I mean? Like, are they going to come out of free agency with their heart set on Justin Fields, keeping the number 8 pick to build around him? There's a lot of questions to be answered in Flowery Branch, but this is definitely something to worth monitoring. Atlanta at number 8. If the Patriots truly do consider moving out of number 3, if I'm thinking about teams that want to jump up to number 8, the Falcons and the Vikings are at the top of the list. And Atlanta can definitely make a better offer unless the Vikings want to throw a whole bunch more picks their way, which maybe that would sway New England, but I'm sure New England would rather fall to number 8 than number 11 and still have a top 10 pick and maybe get a Malik Neighbors or a Rome Odunze, another star wide receiver, since they passed on most likely getting Marvin Harrison at number 3. So let me get your opinion on this. Do you think the Falcons are going to trade up from 8 to 3? Get in the comment section, yes or no, whether or not you think that's going to happen. One other little snippet from this Jeremy Fowler and Dan Graziano article was they talked about Kirk Cousins and his future in Minnesota. And there are some cap confusions, I would say, because it's not as simple as you might think of, oh, Kirk Cousins is a free agent, and it's like every other free agent. No, he's got a whole bunch of void years on his contract. His actual contract, his cap hit this year for the Vikings is $28 million, and he's not on the team. Like, that's just void years. And so because of those void years and things like that, the Vikings cannot franchise tag him, and I'm sure they have extra incentive to get a deal done with Kirk Cousins. Otherwise, he's got a $28 million cap hit for the team this year, and he's not on the team. So I don't think Kirk Cousins is going to leave Minnesota. If you were really banking on Cousins coming down to Atlanta, don't get me wrong, I would definitely be open to it. I think Kirk Cousins is better than the jokes describe because he's kind of shook that prime time losing problem he had. But I think the Vikings are going to get something done with Kirk Cousins, so I wouldn't put all your eggs in that basket. If they do let him go, obviously I'd be interested in what the price would be. The rumor was $90 million for 2 years, $45 million a season. On average, that's not even top 5 in the NFL, but man, $90 million for a 35-year-old quarterback coming off an Achilles tear, that scares the bejesus out of me. But it's not the 1990s anymore, right? It's 2024. We've got pretty good doctors at this point, and so I'm kind of confident that he could bounce back very nicely from that Achilles tear, but still, $90 million wager on that is a big wager. All right, that's going to do it for us on this home edition of Falcons Today. Thank you so much for tuning in. I really appreciate everyone for taking time out of their Saturday to come hang out with us. We'll let you guys get on out of here and enjoy the rest of your Super Bowl weekend, which, by the way, who do you got? How about this? 49ers or Chiefs? I want to say 49ers still, but I feel like I'm going to be a big dum-dum when Kyle Shanahan pisses down his leg again.